Good morning. This is Faith in Our Hometown, brought to you as a community service and sponsored by Mercy Hospital, Joplin. And now, here's your host, Father Jay Friedel.
Good morning. I'm actually not Father Jay Friedel. I'm Aaron Brown, but I want to welcome you this morning to Faith in Our Hometown. I'm sitting in for my friend Father Jay, and today I'm going to be interviewing David Durall. David has given a big chunk of his life to helping youth that have experienced some trouble, youth that have kind of wandered off the path. He's given a big chunk of his life to see them come back and to help them come back. And so I'm going to be talking to him about what we can do, how we can participate in that, what we need to know, what everybody needs to know about encountering the love of God as we shine that into the lives of some of our troubled youth. And I get this because I was one of those troubled youth. So we'll be back in just a minute with David Durall here on Faith in Our Hometown.
Arthritis in my knees, and it was just excruciating. I wish I would have done something sooner. I found myself not able to go up and down stairs, which is bad because we realized we were going to have to sell our house. We decided just to take the worst one first, and we did. I was back to work in 6 weeks. 6 months later, I had surgery on the second one, and I'm back to work in 5 weeks. And I was a little scared, a little apprehensive, even though I knew everything that was going to happen. But I was just impressed. Life is short, and I waited. I think I waited too long.
Welcome back to Faith in Our Hometown. I am privileged to sit here right now with David Durall. He's going to talk to us a little bit about some of his work with the Jasper County Juvenile Center, and so glad to be with you here.
It is
David.
an honor to sit across from you. I look up to you a lot. This is an honor and a privilege.
Somebody else to look up to. Telling you.
This is an honor and a privilege to sit across from you.
Well, we've been in town working together, kind of crossing paths for years now.
Yes,
But tell us a little bit about what you're doing right now with the Jasper County Juvenile Center.
Well, I'm the chaplain there, so I go in and visit with the kids. We do a Bible study once a week. We're getting back to that now
Because of COVID.
Because of COVID.
Shut a lot
yeah.
down. Yeah.
So we were doing Bible studies once a week. If they wanted to do more, we could. Mm-hmm. I'll go in and shoot some baskets with them. And just visit with them, just hear their story.
Uh-huh. So when you say kids, what age are we talking about?
It could be from 12 to, want to say 17 maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
And are these kids that are, for lack of a better term, are they incarcerated there at the Jasper
They
County?
are. And some may just be there for a day, some may be there for a month.
Okay.
So it just varies.
Yeah. And what kind of offenses would they be there for?
Honestly, it could be as simple as maybe shoplifting or something more serious. I mean, the charges can range, or vary from, minor to pretty major.
Yeah. Well, I said in the intro that I was one of those kids. I was just one of those kids that didn't get caught.
Yes.
And,
Yes.
Before I started my faith journey, I was in one of the most dangerous places a human being can be, and that is I did not have a conscience. So I could do anything, take anything, hurt anybody, and not feel anything. And one of the things that happened to me when I chose to follow Jesus is I got the curse and the gift, or gift and curse, of a conscience.
Yes.
And it changed me. But it was because of people like you in my life that looked past the bad kid that I was and saw something in me. So is that how you might describe yourself? Or?
Yes, and that's just it. It's a lot of oftentimes, and the phrase, hurt people hurt people.
Yeah.
And some of these kids are hurting, whether it be for attention, whether it be for love, maybe they're not receiving at home, but it's more of a cry of help than I just want to go out and get in trouble, because I want to get locked up kind of thing. They might be seeking to fit in somewhere, and be at the wrong place, wrong time, or doing something, you know, trying to fit in. So it's really hard at that age, you know, especially with the pandemic going on. They go stir crazy at home. They're bored. So they might be like, oh, well, I'll just take my mom's car for a joyride, you know, because I'm bored. And but a lot of times.
And mom calls the police and says,
yes.
somebody stole my car, or my kid did.
Yeah, and then before you know it, yeah. But a lot of times it's just, when you get in there and you talk to them one-on-one, or, you know, you see them, you know, and my dad, there was one thing that my dad always taught me that will always stick with me, and it's that I'll never look through the eyes of somebody that Jesus doesn't love.
Oh, yeah.
And so whenever
That's
every time before I walk in there, Jesus, help me just to look through your eyes at these youth. Let them feel your love as we're in here today. And I just want those kids to feel the love of Christ. And sometimes, you know, the kids are like, hey, you know, you know, I don't believe in that, and that's fine. You know, we don't force them to do a Bible study, nothing like that. But
well, I mean, I would assume that you believe the way I did. That's
Yeah.
a bad assumption. It's always bad to assume, isn't it? But you know that now I've forgotten what I was going to say. But when you do look at somebody with love, I mean, it doesn't matter if they believe as you believe.
absolutely,
The love just happens because we're called to love.
that's it. That's exactly it. And that's what, you know, you try to do. You just sit and visit with them. Let them just talk. Let them tell you their story, and because they feel important, you know, whenever somebody's listening to them, when somebody actually cares, you know, and you might sit down and play a video game with them, or shoot some hoops with them, and to them that makes you know, a huge difference a lot of times.
And isn't that how you kind of entered into the system, is by having a time, was it once a week or every night, where you shot hoops in Cunningham Park?
Oh yeah, every night during the summer.
Every night.
Yeah, that's how I actually got introduced to the juvenile center. Yeah, they had advertised for a mentor, several mentors, for 1 hour a week, and I was like, well, yeah, that would be fantastic. And so I called down there in interest of it and asked my name, and I told them, and they said, oh, your name was just brought up with some of the judges, and I'm thinking, you know, and he
That's
said,
what I would think.
yeah, that's what I was like, oh boy. I was like, but they said, hey, we heard what you do at the park, so we want to know if you would be interested in maybe the chaplain position here. We've never had a chaplain position, because the Jasper County Juvenile Center, it's newly built. So I absolutely took it, you know, and because my heart is with the youth, you know, just for them to know that they have a purpose and that God has a plan for their life. You know, as Jeremiah 29:11 said.
Yeah, I know the plans.
Yes, and it's not to harm you, but it's to give you a hope and a future. And so I just want because they are our future. And, you know, so I want them to know that they're loved, that most importantly, that Jesus died for them. Even if they were the only person left on this earth, that he still would have went to the cross for them. And just for them to know how much they are loved and cared about.
So I probably should have asked you this before we got on camera, but did you have a troubled youth?
I did. I did. And I had a great, you know, home life. I had a great upbringing. Just got in with the wrong crowd, you know, and never got caught, as you know. But I did, you know. So I kind of relate to them on that, you know, and then having two sons of my own. So.
How old are your boys?
18 and 16. So and that's how I knew a lot of the youth when we started Unity in the Community at the park. Was my oldest son had grown up with a lot of them playing basketball and such.
Yeah, well, that is awesome. I mean, and that changes your perspective.
Absolutely.
I mean, if you hadn't had some struggles when you were a youth, you'd probably be looking in a whole different direction. But, you know, was it somebody that came into your life that?
I was I'm glad you, yes, actually, you know, so my dad was a huge impact in my life. He never gave up on me, never quit praying for me. He never ridiculed me, you know. I would come home at night and before I was old enough to move out, and he would say, you know what, Jesus loves you, and that's all he would say. And then he'd walk back to his
What
bedroom.
would you do when he said that?
I was like,
Eye roll.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, I've heard that my whole life. You know, I went to church. And this is what I tell the youth. You know, it's not about a religion; it's a relationship with Christ. And so I went to church. I could tell you scriptures, but I never had that relationship until I was, let's see, I'm 40. Until I was 34 years old. You know, 6 years ago is when I gave my life to Christ.
Well, what happened then? How did that occur?
My dad at the time was he was going to Christ Point. Of course, my dad's been gone now 4 years, but he went to Christ Point, and they were having a revival. And Bishop Ron Webb, loved this man, and my dad said, hey, you've got to come. This was on a Friday. He said, you've got to come listen to this man. You'll like him. And I'm thinking, Dad, it's Friday. Yeah. I'm going to go out to the club with a couple of my friends, have a couple of drinks, and relax, you know. And my son at the time, my oldest son at the time, so he was 12. He's like, well, Dad, I really wish you would come to church. I'm going with Papa. And I was like, so I sat there and I was like, man, let me go see what this guy's, because at that time, I probably hadn't been to church in 5 or 6 years. And so I went, and as soon as I walked in the doors, I just started bawling, like just crying, could not stop.
Wow.
And I kept trying to stop, because I was like, I'm a man, I don't cry, but I couldn't quit crying. And then Bishop Webb gave an invitation, and I ran to the front, and I surrendered my life that night. My dad got to see it before he passed away. So 2 years before he passed, and so the last year of his life, I lived with him to help take care of him. So we got to do Bible studies together, we got to pray together. So I was so thankful that all those years that he was praying for that he got to see the fruition of that.
And what a way to connect the dots from your youth to what you're doing now, and the presence of God and the call of Christ.
Yes.
What an amazing story, man.
Yes,
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited for you, and having seen what you do and knowing that you're working. How many kids do you work with at the center?
At the juvenile, it can vary. Sometimes, there may not be any kids. Sometimes there might be 6 or 7.
Okay.
So usually 2 to 3, maybe on average.
And how long are you with them in any given day?
Well, before the pandemic, more so, but here lately, maybe 2 days a week, 3 days a week, maybe just go in there and maybe spend like an hour, 2 hours with them, or if they need something, I'm always on call. Okay. So I mean, they can call whether it be 3 in the morning or 3 in the afternoon.
Yeah, that's wonderful. That is amazing. Well, we're going to take a pause right now, and I know you've got a great story that I read on your Facebook page that I want you to share when we get back. But I am here with David Durall, and we are on Faith in our hometown. And we're going to be talking a little bit more about the youth of our area and the Juvenile Detention Center. And what I want to know when we come back is, how do we actually make an impact? Those of us that, want to help in some way, what can we do? We'll be right back after this Mercy Minute.
You're watching Faith in Our Hometown on KSN TV, brought to you as a community service and sponsored by Mercy Hospital, Joplin.
Well, welcome back to Faith in Our Hometown. I'm here with David Durall, and we're talking about youth. And I had said earlier, I was one of those kids that was troubled. I was headed in a bad direction. And if it weren't for people like you that at some point said, I want to help, I want to be a role model, I'd be in a very different place today.
And I would too. And even after I gave my life to Christ, my pastor, Nat Howie, that man has just
Howie Nunley.
Yes.
The great
great
Howie Nunley.
But that man has just been such a blessing to me, took me underneath his arm, so I really learned how to walk in love from that man.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't just a saying. I mean, I see how he lives, and how he just loves people.
Yeah. Well, the story I want you to tell is of, you you said going in to play basketball. A lot of times you went in and played basketball with some of the kids there, but one day they said, we don't want to play basketball.
Yes. So so 3 or 4 days prior to that day, we were having a Bible study, and we were just talking about, actually we were just talking in general, and they had some questions about what happens when we die, you know, and just questions. They were just asking some questions.
First order questions, those are the big ones.
Yeah. So they were just asking just general questions, and some of them were like, well, you know, I don't believe every story in the Bible, like how can a man get swallowed by a whale, you know, things like that. And so we ended the day, because it was, they were getting ready to watch a movie, so that was the end of our day. So the next day, come back in, and I was going to take them in to shoot some hoops. Well, I guess apparently through the night, they were talking, and they said, hey, instead of shooting hoops today, can we sit down and talk more and ask some more questions? And I said, my goodness, yes. And I said, let's do it. And so we talked, man, probably an hour and a half to almost 2 hours probably. And all 3 of those young men gave their lives to Christ. And so it was amazing. I mean, it was just a blessing. And as for me personally, it put a little pep in my step that day. You know what I mean? When you see people give their life to Christ, it takes you back to your day, so to speak, when you gave your life to Christ. So that excitement builds back up, and you're ready to run out the door and just have revival, like going all over, you know, just preaching to whoever and wherever.
Well, it makes me wonder, you know, so those like those kids that accepted Christ, and you know, do you get to follow up with them? You know, once they leave the juvenile center, are you able to reach out to them to know where they are, how they're doing? So
Aaron Garcia has the, you know, I'm sure you know him.
Yeah.
So his first book, Coincidence or God, every kid in there gets that book, and Aaron signs it himself. And if anybody, you know, ever wants to help with that, we can get 20 books for $60, and we give those to every kid in there. And we've seen such amazing things come from that book for these kids, because these kids relate to that book so much that I've had one of them just break down crying and bawling, you know, just because he related so much to that book.
Do you go through the book with them? And
I do not actually, unless they want to.
Right.
But whenever they come in, they're handed that.
Yeah.
And they usually read it in the first 40 minutes they're there. I mean, they're just so intrigued with it. But inside there's a little P.O. box, and which goes straight to Aaron. But I tell them, hey, if you want to write in or mail a letter saying how you're doing or how this book has impacted you, Aaron or I, either one, but mostly Aaron, will mail you right back.
Yeah,
you know,
that's great.
But so that book has been such a blessing there, and these kids relate to it so much.
And it does lead to some connection later on when you know, when they're released, they get on with their lives. You can continue on.
And those are their books to take with them, you know, for the rest of their life. And then we try to get every kid in there their own Bible, and personalized with their name on it.
Yeah. What a gift.
Absolutely. And you know, one young man, he looked at his Bible, never had a Bible before, and I'm thinking, wow, I probably got 8 or 9 of them sitting at home with dust on half of them that I don't use. You know, not my main one that I use.
No, I don't know what you're talking about. Don't pull me into that boat.
And but here this kid is just looking at it like he just opened a Christmas present.
Yeah.
And I said, man, let's go to John 3:16. He didn't know what the 3:16 even meant. And now I've seen this kid since. He had to go to another place, got his GED while he was in there, got a job now, doing great.
Oh, I love hearing that.
He's still reading the Bible. I mean, still. But when he first got that, and he read almost the whole Old Testament, I mean, he wanted to start right at the beginning. And I said, hey, man.
That is not what I recommend people do.
Me either. I said, I always recommend starting in John maybe.
Yeah.
But he wanted to start right from the beginning, and but he was so hungry.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, God forgive me for not looking at my Bible the way this kid, you know, did. So really, they teach you things, you know.
Isn't that the case with everything?
Yes, sir.
Know? I mean, we go in trying to do something, and and something happens to us in
Yes.
the process.
Absolutely.
That makes me want to ask you, so you're working with kids they've had some issues, they've had some struggles, they've done some things, they've had some situations in life that made them hopeless or want attention, or like you said, nobody wants to go to a detention facility, so something is going on. What can people know? What can the community know? And what can the community do to make a difference in the lives of the youth that might be on that edge?
On that edge?
Before they get, before they have to go to a detention center.
Yeah, excuse me. I would say, honestly, just take time with them. Take time to get to know them. Take time to get to know their story. So many of them don't have a good home life, or the dad is absent. So, like I said, a lot of times it's just a cry for attention, so maybe even just sitting down and talking to them.
Which
Really.
is scary.
It is.
If you don't have kids that age. Or I've got a 14-year-old and a 21-year-old daughters.
Yes.
So and youth still scare me. I got two, and they still scare me.
Amen.
But
Amen to that.
how hard it is. Like if you got neighbors,
Uh-huh.
and you got young neighbors, not just teenagers, but kids, to say, I want to be involved in your, not to say it literally, but
Yeah.
to get involved in it, to ask them questions, I don't know, what do you recommend?
Well, that's a good question. It could just start out with a simple, hey, how are you? And not the generalized, how are you, just to say it because you see somebody, but really, how are you? Like, let's take a minute and really, how are you doing? And a lot of times they'll start talking, and then without them really coming out and saying what their issue is, they say it, in a roundabout kind of way. So if you just take your time to listen, then you could probably be a lot of help. And really, sometimes it's just them having somebody to talk to is a huge difference maker.
Well, what I love about you is you love basketball, and so that became your entrance into kids' lives.
That was the easiest for me because I played basketball all through school and everything, and now I'm shaped like a basketball. But that was the easiest entrance for me, and with my son growing up with the youth, to start. So yeah, it was very easy for me because I already knew half the kids that were coming to the park that first year. And now we have them coming to Cunningham from Riverton, Baxter, Miami, from all Webb City.
How do they hear about it?
Just word of mouth from their friends. And that's what I love about, I know it's kind of off the subject from the chaplain position, but unity in the community at Cunningham, and it really is unity. Like, I love seeing the kids meeting each other, from different cities, and they form a bond, and it's just like a big family up there a lot of times. So and a lot of times that's just it, man. They just want people that care.
Yeah. Well, you're doing a great job of being that person, and it seems to me like you're just unafraid. A lot of us are afraid to look stupid in front of young people, children or youth or all that, or I don't know what to say, I don't know what to do, but you have found that entrance point to say, man, I'm here for you. I want to hear your story, and what a way to make an impact.
Well, that means a lot from you because I look up to you a lot. So that really means a whole lot coming from you, very much.
I look at you as being on the very front line of where differences are made in people's lives. And young people, when they are malleable and someone can make a difference, you're right there. And I mean, what a way to serve.
And I will say that if for the parents or grandparents of these teens or youth, don't stop praying for them.
Yeah.
Don't give up on them. They may not hear you, but they hear you.
Yeah.
And so like I said, if it wasn't for a praying grandmother, and I love my Mima, and a praying dad, but I just go into it like that because I know what God forgave me of and what God did for me. And so I want to share that with them.
So part of faith in our hometown is to pray for our children, pray for our youth, and know that we can make a difference.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Anything else that people might do that might make a difference? Real quick, we only got a few seconds.
No, I mean, like I said, just, pray for our youth, especially during this pandemic. They go stir crazy, not being able to be around their friends, or, some of the sports were cut, or you can't really, it's a hard time right now for everybody. But our youth are so used to being with their friends or, in groups. So just pray for them. And like I said, if anybody wants to help with those books, you can contact me or Aaron Garcia.
Okay. Find you on Facebook?
Yes.
David Durall?
David Durall II on Facebook. Or you can contact Jasper County Juvenile Center and they'll get it with me.
All right.
But the Coincidence or God, that's been a hit. Not only in our juvenile center, but he's been passing them out to county jails, prisons.
That's good stuff.
It's just, yeah.
Hey, we'll be right back. This is Faith in Our Hometown. We'll be right back after this Mercy Minute.
Blessings and greetings of mercy to you. My name is Anna Nichols. I am a Sister of Mercy and currently the leader of Heritage and Spirituality at Mercy International Association. I love the fact that sisters throughout time have gone where they have been called to go, and they have often picked up ministries that they never intended to pick up. 25 years ago, there were 22,000 Sisters of Mercy globally. Today we're down to about 6,200 with Sister Rock and some of the others. But despite the fact there are 6,500 or 6,200 sisters left, there is an amazing number of women and men of mercy who are working alongside us, and that continues to expand and expand, and for me that is incredibly exciting. So as far as National Catholic Sisters Week, I really look at the legacy that they have passed on and the fact that so many women, men, young people are living mercy today. That really is for me what's significant.
Hey, it's been great spending this little part of Sunday morning with you. It's been great having David Durall on and talking about our youth in our area and some of the struggles that they have and how he has really tried to make an impact in their lives. Not tried, he is. This man is making an impact in the lives of youth in our area, and what we can do as people of faith in our hometown to pray, to be involved. He said one of the most important things we can do is to listen to the kids around us, be involved in their stories, make sure that we are offering them possibilities and hope. And gosh, with him is basketball. Get out there and play some basketball with those kids. Make an impact, be present with them, and don't forget to pray. That's part of who we are as Faith in Our Hometown. It's been great spending a little bit of time with you on Sunday morning, and we will see you next Sunday. So hopefully you will tune in. Have a great week. Take care, and God bless.
Thanks for watching. Faith in Our Hometown can be seen Sunday mornings at 6:30 and 9 a.m. on KSN. Brought to you as a community service and sponsored by Mercy Hospital, Joplin.